right now in California, with the last poll set to close at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
In the race for the governor's mansion, 2 will advance, 3 are leading the pack right now. Democrats, Tom Steyer and Javier Becerra. And then there's Republican, Steve Hilton.
But let's go local. The Los Angeles mayor's race is making national waves. A tight contest between incumbent Mayor Karen Bass, rising political star Spencer Pratt, and the socialist councilwoman Nithya Raman.
Kennedy Saves the World podcast host.
That's right.
Kennedy.
Here to save your world.
Woman extraordinaire.
Yes.
Is here to discuss.
Well, thank you for having me. I saw you today in the 1 o'clock hour.
Just wasn't enough.
On the Big Money Show. I was like, I'm sorry, I need another serving. Brian Brenberg and Brianomics and Dagan McDollars.
Thank you.
That's my nickname.
I love it.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start with the governor's race or the?
Yeah, I
mayor?
want to start because we focused a lot today on Spencer Pratt because this has really been a meteoric rise. And you have 2 slightly different campaigns, and they're really running with the same energy, Steve Hilton and Spencer Pratt. Steve Hilton needs to get credit for being such a disciplined candidate. And it's probably been a shock to a lot of counties in California because they don't get a lot of Republican visitors because there are Republicans who run for governor and just assume they're not going to get any votes. So they don't even try. You know, whether it's governor, Senate, any statewide races, they just assume that they're going to be boxed out of the race. And Steve Hilton is one of those candidates who knows that he's running on good, solid ideas. He's an incredibly patriotic person. He loves the state of California. And, you know, he has gotten to know every single one of these counties and all of their particular issues, and he's addressing them. And he's doing it by listening. He's written extensively about it. And he has been the candidate that people can't turn away from because he shows up and has met people where they are.
Do you think there's a big, like, I'm not going to tell you I'm voting for these guys,
Yes.
but I'm going to vote? I mean, how big is that in California, and how big is that in L.A. for Pratt?
With Pratt, I think that is an even bigger driving force. You have so many people who they don't want to stick their necks out there and say publicly that they are voting for him and supporting him. But I have talked to some very high-profile people, an entertainment mogul, a real estate magnate, an A-list actor, and these are people who will not go on the record, but they are all supporting him. And, you know, if they're not supporting him directly, they're getting their friends to pool money together to donate legally to his campaign. And so you have people who have been displaced. Everything that they know and love has burned to the ground. And there is no way to measure that kind of pain and trauma that has not been dutifully addressed by Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom or anyone else. They have been left to twist in the wind. And, you know, if you get a big faction of voters who are so angry about their personal situation, they are going to vote against Karen Bass. And actually, many of them are voting for Spencer Pratt because he's speaking to them directly. And, you know, so often in California politics, these politicians just assume that they're going to be the ones anointed in the next race. And for Karen Bass, the LA mayoralship was a silver medal since she was not chosen as Joe Biden's VP.
Watching her and watching clips even recently of her being interviewed by Kathy Griffin.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't get over thinking, why does she even want that job? Why did she want it in the first place? Why are you there?
Yeah.
It's just because I'm a politician. I'm supposed to have an elected office.
Yeah.
And it's as if, this guy comes along and nobody was supposed to challenge me and make me answer for all of my misdeeds and the horror that I've rained down on this city. And she seems genuinely shocked when she says something like, oh, well, these are 30 problems 30 years in the making.
Yeah. Well, she's part of the problem machine. That is her problem, is, you know, she is the author of so many of these policies statewide that have led to the devastation in Los Angeles. And, you know, her big tack right now is attacking Spencer Pratt for not having a real job. It's like, well, her real job was to govern Los Angeles, and she left. She had all the intel. Her deputy mayor was under house arrest. There were too many fire trucks in disrepair, and they didn't have any water trucks at the ready on the west side of Los Angeles. And look what happened. You know, you had firefighters in tears because there was no water coming out of the hydrants. They couldn't tackle those house fires as the embers blew from one house to the next, and the conflagration is just a metaphor for the system that produced someone as underwhelming as Karen Bass.
Maybe sticking with conflagration and going from West Coast to East Coast, Graham Platner out of Maine, meeting with the Senate today, and I don't know how that went. Chuck Schumer came out of that meeting and said, met with Graham Platner, we're going to beat Susan Collins. That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement to me.
It is not an endorsement.
All the stuff coming out about this guy, do Democrats want him, or are they trying to slowly throw him under the bus?
No,
What's going on?
they know that he's throwing himself under the bus, and they're going to have no choice but to throw it in reverse here pretty soon. When you have Cory Booker, who's going out on the Sunday show saying, you know, this guy has a lot to answer for. It's like, well, it's not getting any better this week. He's not really clarifying anything. He's not apologizing for anything. He's not denying anything. They just need a warm body. And unfortunately, he was the horse that they picked, and now they're going to be forced to make a pretty drastic decision here in the next couple weeks. If there's anything else that comes out about him, and, you know, it's like, if one of the people he was sexting, if there is an underage girl here, if there is a woman who comes forward and says that, you know, he assaulted her in any way, that's it. Then, you know, you have to go to Janet Mills, the governor of New Hampshire, Maine.
Who's still on the ballot.
Yes,
she suspended her campaign, but she didn't write in to say I'm done, so she still appears.
But that's what Schumer was signaling today when he says, we're going to beat Susan Collins in the fall. He's not talking about Graham Platner. He's saying anyone who is running and makes it to the general election, he thinks that person will beat Susan Collins, that Susan Collins is that vulnerable. They thought the same thing about her 6 years ago. She was 9 points behind on election day. She won that race by 8 or 9 points. So I don't know what they think is going to happen. And she's actually closer against Platner than she was in 2020.
I would just say death camp tattoo. Nazi Totenkopf death camp tattoo, and that was the best that they had.